What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and we're doing another player spotlight video here. Of course, many of you have tuned in to check out a range of different videos on a range of our different established players and potential draftees and trade targets in recent weeks, because we're now at that point of the season where players will be delisted, players will be traded, players will be brought in, players will be drafted. There's a lot of movement starting to go on, even though we still have 6 rounds left of the home and away season. Some of these big decisions need to be made, and a lot of these conversations need to start happening soon. And today, the big conversation we're having here is around someone who I absolutely love. I'm sure most of you watching right now absolutely love this guy, and he has been completely crippled and cruelled by injury for 3 years now. I'm talking about Cam Guthrie. You can see it here, 2025 season. No disposals, no kicks, no handballs, no marks, tackles, clearances. He's just been unable to get on the ground. And this has now been the case as I bring up his stats for the last 3 years. Won the premiership in 2022. Was amazing. 2023, 6 games. 4 games in 2024 and has played none so far. And the question quite reasonably needs to be asked, are we seeing the end of Cam Guthrie? And I hate that conversation. I hate that we've got to talk about it. At the age of 32, it feels like it's too young to be having this conversation. But we'll have it right after a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Cam Guthrie. Like I said, someone who I've got a lot of love for. He's done some incredible things over the years for the Cats. I certainly remember for years he was kind of referred to as Fluffy by my wife because of the long hair. She used to be an Essendon supporter before I came along and kind of won her over. It also helped that they became a bunch of drug cheats at the exact same time that we met. But she had a lot of love for Dyson Heppel. And then, seeing the Cats and feeling quite betrayed by the Bombers, she saw a lot of links between Cam Guthrie and Dyson Heppel, and so she jumped ship. He was also, it was one of the story I've not told on the Hoops Crew yet, was that to seal the deal, my wife's like, get me some signatures. Well, I reached out to my granddad, who used to be a former Cat, and said, hey, I need to seal the deal here and make her a Geelong supporter. Can I get a few signatures? And Cam Guthrie ended up being one of those who signed it. Lots of great reasons why we love Cam Guthrie in this house. And, it's such a shame that he has had this horrific run of injuries the last few years. Again, look at that. He's played 10 games in the last 3 seasons. It's awful. And some of those have been pretty heavily compromised games as well. It's really, really, really disappointing where his career is currently at. And it's quite reasonable, I would say, for people to ask the question about his future now. At 32 years old, it feels like he's too young to retire or be delisted or any of those kinds of things. But it feels like Cam Guthrie right now, and it's more complicated because his brother's on the list, but it feels like right now he's in that same window that Josh Hunt, that Paul Chapman, that Jimmy Bartell, that Steve Johnson, that all of them were in, where the club, maybe they felt like they could go around again. But the club is starting to plan for a future without them. And I feel like we're almost at that point with Cam Guthrie. And the question is, are we at that point? Is it this year? Is it next year? When does it happen? When is he told that his services are no longer required? If you want to go to another club, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we'll pay the utmost respect and assist you in your retirement. For me, and I've got to double check this, he's 32, but what's the actual date of birth? 19th of August, 1992. So he's about to turn 33 in a month. I think the simple question is, could we see Cam Guthrie the 34-year-old Geelong Cat player? And if we are, and if he's playing, who's that keeping out? What opportunities are being taken away from other players to allow this to happen? There's obviously the conversations around Mitch Duncan that have been going on. Reece Stanley's kind of in a similar sort of vacuum of time where they're right at the absolute pinnacle, or the pointy end, I should say, of their career. And the question is, do they go on? I, for one, think that Cam Guthrie has one more season in him. In that, Geelong gives him that chance. They build their list on the assumption that he is not in our starting 23. But that if he can get fit and if his body starts to hold up, that this dogged run of injuries, and there've been all sorts of weird and wild ones, but of course the most concerning ones have been some of these calves, the old man injuries. If he's somehow able to overcome that absolutely fight for your spot, win your spot, and play. Similar to what Mitch Duncan is having to do now, where he's had to fight for his spot. He had to fight to get back in, and he's fighting like tooth and nail to try and stay in there. And now, of course, he's currently injured with his shoulder, and he's going to be missing for 4 or 5 weeks. And who knows, he could be done as well. But I for one think that there's a spot on the list for Cam Guthrie for one more year, but we are not talking about Cam Guthrie being the starting 23 player. We're talking about Cam Guthrie, the guy who's got to fight to show that he's still up to it. And every time he gets opportunity at VFL level, he shows that he's up to it. He accumulates the ball like he always has. He's got great game sense. He reads the ball, reads the play really, really well. It's just whether he's now been crippled too much by these different injuries, or whether he is too much of a risk or liability to play at the top level. Maybe he is that great depth option now. I don't like the idea of Cam Guthrie being off the list, and maybe that's kind of influencing my opinion a little bit here. But I think at 33, that is almost too early to retire someone. 34, yeah. 33, you've got time. You've got 12 months to show that your body's up to it, that you can continue to go around again. And so I want Cam Guthrie to get that chance. Because I guess the big difference between him, Mitch Duncan, Reece Stanley's obviously a ruck, contributing to the midfield, totally different capacity, of course, is that right now our midfield still lacks depth. And if he's fit, and if he gets himself fit and he is called upon, you know exactly what you're going to get, and I think you're going to get really high quality football. And so I don't think it's worth, you don't toss a player away like that. Grow out your hair, Cam. Get your magical powers back. That's what you need right now. Grow the hair back out. Get the dreadlocks going. The second you cut it, it's when things went wrong. I think Cam Guthrie belongs on the list for one more season. And then if it turns out he has another horrible run of injuries, then that's it. If he's not playing great football, then that's it. But he hasn't had an opportunity to show anyone consistently what he's been able to do. And obviously, there's grounds to delist someone when the body's just failing them. But I think because of the position he plays and the fact that we are still lacking a bit, we've got some absolute rock stars in there, but we are lacking depth. We are lacking players who go both ways, who can be really offensive, but also lock down and play the tight defensive role. We've got Bailey Smith and Max Holmes who love to just run and beeline it and don't worry too much about their opponent. You've got Tom Atkins, who is totally defensively sound. Cam Guthrie is the sweet spot in the middle, and we don't have many of those. So I think he belongs on the list for one more year, at least. Cats fans, let me know what you think. Are there too many rose-tinted lenses being applied here? Could you get around the idea that he is not one of our starting 23 players and he's there to be called upon if required? Presuming his body is, of course, up to it. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. There's lots of awesome Hoops Crew content. We've got Postgame Live. We've got the Paul James Show twice per week. The Chaps Chat Cats. Lots of awesome content for people to check out on the YouTube channel. So please subscribe, share the video with your friends and family. Get the word out there about all the content we're creating. That extends to Patreon as well. where you can get 7 days of free trial access to all of our exclusives, early access content, and extended content delivered directly to your email inbox. And for $5 a month, that content continues to arrive after the 7-day trial period is over. So check it out and see if it's for you. In terms of socials, you'll find me at Paul James Games. That's on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at the Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. Cam Guthrie, I wish you all the very best. My fingers are very tightly crossed for you, mate. Remain Geelong strong, everyone. I'll see you later.